And right now we are 2 minutes away from the end of the trading day. Romaine Bostick alongside Katie Greifeld taking you through to that closing bell with the global simulcast. It started. There's Carol Massar. There's Tim Stenovec in the radio booth. Welcome to our audiences across all of our Bloomberg platforms as we close out this Friday with a lot of big questions here about the direction of the market, the direction of the economy, and the direction of interest rates.
So well said. Tim and I were just saying, it's not a quiet Friday. It just feels like a lot of things are coming from the White House right now. Lots of questions. We know the president is expected to speak maybe in a few minutes from now. In the meantime, I feel like the equity trade says it all. Some enthusiasm maybe initially over expectations of rate cuts, but now it's also maybe the realization that the economy is slowing down in the U.S., and that's not necessarily a good thing.
Yeah, we just spoke to Louis Navalier over at Navalier and Associates, who, when we asked him, is the Fed too late? He said, yeah, the Fed should have cut back in June. You know, he's citing the labor deterioration that we've seen in the labor market here in the U.S.
Yeah, and you can see all these questions coming through in the stock market, but a conversation we were having about when it comes to the bond market, the trade looks much cleaner, at least on this one day. Yields shot lower after we got those numbers at 8:30, and they've pretty much stayed there.
And it's going to be kind of interesting these next couple of weeks because, I mean, earnings season is largely over. We do get Oracle and Adobe next week. That could have some impact on the market. The Fed in a quiet period as we wait for that September 16th, 17th meeting. But we get a lot of economic data in between that. A retail sales report, CPI, PPI next week, and consumer sentiment numbers at the end of the week.
Listen, we're counting down to the Federal Reserve's next decision, and all of those data points, we know that Romaine will be important.
We should point out the S&P here on the day did actually open higher. The idea here that with a weak job market, the Fed would cut rates and a drop in rates would underpin valuations here. But that enthusiasm faded. The S&P was down almost 1% on the day, pairing some of those losses, and looks like it's going to close down now by about 20 points or 0.3%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, a favorite of Katie Greifeld's, lower by more than 200 points or 0.5%. The NASDAQ Composite, we're just going to call it unchanged. It is a red arrow, but basically unchanged on the day. The NASDAQ 100 actually squeaking into the green, up 19 points or about 0.1%. And we've been talking about it all day, Carol and Tim. The outperformance that we saw today in the mid caps and the small cap Russell 2000, both of those indices up about 0.5% on the day.
All right, interesting to see that divergence in terms of performance. I'm going to go back to the big caps, if I may, the S&P 500. And folks, not quite an even split. 273 names, Katie, to the upside here in the S&P 500, 230 losing ground.
Well, it's a really interesting mix if you take a look at the sector breakdown as well. You take a look at the circle. There's a lot of red, but the green, real estate, is your biggest gainer on the day. That sector up about 1%. That has to do, of course, with what we're seeing in the bond market. Rates are coming down. That is good, theoretically, for real estate. Communication services and materials also joining in on the party. But then you take a look at the downside. Energy, your biggest loser today, then financials and industrials also having a pretty sour end to this week.
All right, let me get to some of the individual gainers. And Tesla, we saw this definitely some outperformance here, up 5% at its highs today, closing with a gain of 3.6%. Tesla proposing a new compensation agreement for its CEO, Elon Musk, potentially worth around $1 trillion. There's a lot of caveats around it, I would say, but it is a massive package with that president in corporate America. Tesla seeking assurances that Elon Musk would wind down his political work. So we also heard from a Tesla board member, at least
wind
CNBC.
Down his political work.
Well, you know what that
I think the Trump administration's already done that. But it raises the big question, Carol Massar. In all seriousness, we talk about a $1 trillion pay package that a lot of people, I think, Katie, you pointed out at the start of our show, to get all those incentives, it would actually have to take the market cap of this company to what, around $8 trillion. It's at $1 trillion now. I would also like to point out it was at $1.5 trillion at the start of the year. So I'm a little curious as to what they're actually paying for here.
It's a great question. It's a question I posed actually to our Ed Ludlow, who reminded us about NVIDIA just a short time ago and the small market cap it had and how it has certainly blossomed. So I don't know. I guess time will tell. So, yeah.
NVIDIA makes basically the only chip out there to power the AI revolution.
Just a graphics chip processor, and the market cap wasn't as large. I'm just saying.
Okay, that's a false equivalency, but go ahead.
Okay. I'm just
Tough
kidding.
crowd.
You must have missed me. All right, let's go to
did, actually.
Zoomies. Zoomies, ticker is ZUMZ. Stock up about 15% in today's session.
What is this? I always hear this stock. What is this?
$357 million market cap. It is a small
make those
market cap.
pants?
This is something that's probably in your wardrobe. There's sneakers, there's skateboards, there's a lot of things.
my wardrobe.
Snowboards as well. Anyway, it reported better than expected second quarter sales, issued third quarter sales guidance that also topped estimates. And moving along, chips, definitely some outperformance among the semi area today. Broadcom, number one gainer in both the S&P 500, NASDAQ 100, gain of 9.5%, up more than 16% intraday here.
Wow.
We know the company reported its latest results, but it really has to do with that FT report initially, and then Bloomberg following up that the chip maker is said to be helping OpenAI design and produce an AI accelerator. For 2026.
Can I just say a few weeks ago on this program, I got a lot to say today, Carol. So a couple weeks on the program, Jake Goldberg over at Seaport was talking about this idea of the chip space, all the focus on NVIDIA. And he was the one who flagged to me. He's like, look, take a look at Broadcom. It's outperformed NVIDIA this year. It's up 44%. NVIDIA's up like 25%. And he was really bullish on this idea that Broadcom really has an ability to make its mark in the AI space, and that investors hadn't really appreciated that. And I think based on what we learned yesterday, maybe he was right.
I have something to say, actually. I have also heard calls that Broadcom should be part of the Magnificent Seven. I'm going to say it here. Call it the Great Eight. We could come up with a new name because Broadcom really has proved its worth this year.
All right, we'll see if the Great Eight sticks. If it does, thanks, Katie Greifeld, for that one.
I stole it from someone.
Romaine, I know you're just... We were gone yesterday up at the Power Players Summit, so it sounds like you're making up for lost time with no simulcast.
We've been chatting up.
We actually did the simulcast. We just did it with.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It was just the two of you. The two of you talking to each other.
Pretty much.
Okay.
We got to keep our radio listeners.
Well, I want to keep things moving and talk a little bit about NVIDIA. On the Broadcom news, Broadcom's gains were NVIDIA's losses today, down 2.7%. Shares actually fell as much as 4.4%, falling at one point by the most since April. Once again, NVIDIA down by 2.7% today. And then a late mover, Kenvue, down 9.4% today. It's the former consumer healthcare division of Johnson & Johnson, down as much as 16.5% earlier this afternoon. Shares fell after the Journal reported that HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is likely to link the company's Tylenol to autism. The federal government is expected to release its finding on autism this month. The HHS, though, came out with a statement after this Journal report came out and said any claims about the report's contents are speculation until it is released. We should note that Kenvue said, quote, nothing is more important than the health and safety of people who use its products, and it believes there's no causal link between acetaminophen use during pregnancy and autism. And finally, Lululemon shares down 18.6% today. This was the worst performer on a percentage basis in the S&P 500.
Right.
The company slashing its outlook due to weakening demand, the Trump administration's tougher trade policies as well. At least 7 analysts downgraded the company's stock.
Yeah, I was really shocked. I mean, we were on, well, that's right, you guys weren't here yesterday, but we were covering that in the after hours yesterday. And the idea, remember, this was like the untouchable stock. It seemed like it didn't matter the economic conditions, it didn't matter anything. They always seemed to grow sales, grow profitability. And this is like the third straight quarter where they've really surprised to the downside.
Do you think tariffs are really to blame here, or is this the fact that consumers have a lot more options here?
Yeah, no, I don't think that.
A lot more options, and maybe they're not as interested in what Lululemon is offering right now.
Yeah, and we had an analyst on yesterday who kind of made that point, the idea that there's really just been some internal mistakes they've made with regards to marketing, with regards to pricing. But, you know, they're trying to course correct that, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. I do want to turn real quickly to yields, guys, because that, of course, was a big part of the story. Your 2-year yield, a massive drop on the day, and more importantly, a massive drop on the week. I just want to point, this is the 4th straight week we've seen the 2-year yield decline. So at least in the open market, in the secondary market, you have traders really betting on the idea that there is going to be a slide in rates pretty soon. But at the Fed, we'll start this rate cutting cycle. You also saw the 30-year dip on the day and on the week. It's the most meaningful decline that we've seen on a weekly basis in quite some time, down 16 basis points. Remember, we started the week, everybody was fretting about 5% yields on the 30-year. That's now down back below 4.8%.
Yeah, pretty significant change in the narrative. All right, here's something kind of interesting that caught our attention from the Wall Street Journal. It has to do with a UFC cage match coming to the South Lawn of the White House.
The White House?
A little bit later this year, or next year, I think it actually is.
Wait, so Trump's going to fight in the cage?
No, it's not going to be.
No, mixed martial arts throwdown to be watched by thousands of spectators. There's lasers, there's fireworks to light up the sky. The UFC's octagon cage will be flanked by the White House and the Washington Monument. This is from the Wall Street Journal. I'm reading it right there.
Yeah.
As combatants punch, kick, and grapple each other.
Oh, yeah.
Many
That's
more
exactly
people could
what you wanna
watch
see
on
at the
jumbo
White House.
screens set up on the Ellipse, a park south of the White House or other areas
this is
nearby.
very violent.
I will tell you, I'm going to tell you guys something.
All right.
Not a big UFC fan.
No, you are.
I am
Tim
not.
Stenovec,
Yeah.
a big UFC fan.
Well, can
I think full
Shocking.
disclosure, I don't understand.
What if they were on bikes? Would you like it more?
Nah, control room's laughing about that, Katie.
It was a funny joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, tell us
U.S.
about
Open
that.
happening right now. Djokovic and Alcaraz playing as we
Is
speak.
there grappling in that?
There's not, no. And the president reportedly will be going to the final on Sunday
Oh.
in Flushing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be there, too. I'll say hi to him.
You guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Big tennis fan. You don't know that. Not so much MMA. I'm like you. I mean, I don't like to see people get punched in the head. I don't know. I mean, you know, teach his own.
All right, to each his own.
There you go.
And that, we're going to
Big
have a wrap
grappling
here.
event. I mean, I could see that on the subway.
Are you done?
That's
Are you
true.
done?